Hi, St. Croix. So happy to walk through this rubric for evaluating high quality literature with you. So this is the rubric itself, and then I'll also talk through some examples and definitions of terms and go through a little example of how you can select which level for a text. We'll be looking at a little excerpt from Charlotte's Web. So as you can see, we have, for each indicator, you can give a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and some descriptions of those. To give a 1 for any of the indicators would mean that it's never found in the text, or goes against the indicator description, or just simply would not be a text worthy of our students. To go to the middle category, the level 3, that would mean the text has some parts of the indicator but also has areas for improvement. And then of course a 5, the indicator is completely met several times throughout the story. The text could be used as a model, it's high quality, and it is a text worthy of our students. So I'll go through a little bit now with each indicator on the rubric itself. So for each of these, you will select 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, depending on the book that you're evaluating. So the text builds up or helps form the moral imagination of the reader. I'll go down here to our definitions and examples of terms. Moral imagination. And this will be fleshed out a little bit in some of the other bullet points as well, but you can see the description here that moral imagination refers to the images and stories that make up our mental furniture, those things that tell or show us what life is all about, what is the best way to live, the things that shape our vision of what the best life is. And these are the stories that could teach us something important about what it means to be human. So for that indicator, you would need to make your final selection after completing the entire text. You wouldn't be able to indicate 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the text building up or helping form the moral imagination of the reader until you have completed the text. The next one is the text acts as a vehicle for the transmission of Catholic culture, promotes a Catholic worldview, or is compatible with a Catholic worldview. So again, for this indicator, for more examples, you can look here for definitions and examples of terms. Vehicle for the transmission of Catholic culture. We are looking for powerful stories which convey truth. There's a quote here about novels. The fact that novels are narratives about events which happen to people in the course of time is given a unique weight in an ethos that is informed by the belief that awards an absolute importance to an event which happened to a person in historic time. And the piece about Catholic worldview, the way in which we see reality and form our students to understand it and live within it. The Catholic worldview embraces teaching the whole child. The Catholic worldview in a school means that every subject is taught in such a way that reflects the unity of knowledge, having a common source in God, His creation and revelation, and ordered in a wisdom that communicates the ultimate purpose of all things. So we are looking for texts that directly bring out the Catholic worldview. As you're evaluating text, then you would select for this indicator 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. The next one is the text helps students to become more virtuous, providing insight into man's nature and his relationship to God and creation, whether explicitly or subtly. The fourth indicator, the text is free from vulgar or obscene content. There are examples here for you. For the previous one about helping students become more virtuous, I included this quote about using fairy tales and fantasy stories but really this quote could be applied to any fiction. And these are some examples of vulgar or obscene content that we would not want to expose our students to through novels. The next indicator is the text provides students with opportunities to engage in deep and meaningful discussions, which encourages higher order thinking skills. So we want to make sure the text is not surface level and that it has opportunity for rich discussion. Some higher order thinking skills that could come up through reading a novel as a class are included here. The text is meaningful and complex, age-appropriate in subject matter and length. So on our definitions, there's a little bit more about text complexity. Quantitative text complexity refers to the Lexile level or grade level. Qualitative text complexity is more about the layers or levels of meaning, the purpose of the text, the structure, the language clarity, and knowledge demands, as in the background knowledge of the student that is required in order to comprehend the text. And I included some suggested Lexile level ranges per grade. We don't have to stay exactly within this suggestions, but it gives some idea of where we should be per grade. The text includes high quality writing, not simply entertainment, and students can see the text as a writing model. So because we see reading as breathing in and writing as breathing out, we want to make sure the books we're reading can really be writing models for our students. So there's some more information here about what high quality writing is and what it looks like in a novel. The language of the text is beautiful and coherent. This is similar to the high quality writing piece, but there is also some more information here that through reading high quality literature, we're helping our students develop an understanding of human character, of motive, and of the kinds of narrative arc that are inherently pleasing and displeasing to the human mind and heart. The next indicator, the text has clear purposes for teaching. It is connected to instruction, so we just want to make sure the novels we're using are based in the standards we're required to teach and our students' needs, how to get them to the next level. Here are some examples of what clear purposes for teaching looks like when teaching through novels. The text develops reading comprehension skills, including vocabulary, plot, theme, and literary devices. And there's examples of literary devices that you might teach your students depending on the grade level. The text provides clear examples of truth, beauty, and goodness. There's a lot to be said here, but I just pulled a little bit about what we believe about truth, beauty, and goodness. Beauty lifts us up and it is healing. I think those are some good questions to ask ourselves when reading children's literature or adolescent literature, just simply asking, does this text lift us up, and is it healing for us? The text fosters a joy of reading. The text presents timeless, inspiring themes. There's a little more information here about the types of themes we're looking for. The text is motivating for students and relevant to their lives. The text celebrates diversity and is free from harmful stereotypes. There's a little bit more information here about diversity, what we're looking for. And the final indicator, the text can easily be read over and over and or could be considered a classic. So here you will find more information about what we're looking for in terms of classic literature, what we can define as a good book. And I love this quote by Joseph Pearce, that in knowing great works of literature, we come to know ourselves, because the humanities teach us about humanity, both our own humanity and the humanity of our neighbors. Okay, so we are going to look now at a little excerpt from the first chapter of Charlotte's Web. Oh, let me go back to this one moment. I also included for you all just these 3 bullet points about suggestions for completing the rubric. So definitely become familiar with the indicators and the key terms on the rubric prior to reading a text and evaluating it. Make notes while reading your book, whether the indicators that stand out to you are positive or negative. And then after you finish the entire book, make final decisions of which level for each indicator. So for Charlotte's Web, Chapter 1. Just looking at this little part, I'll read for us. "Where's Papa going with that axe?" said Fern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. "Out to the hog house," replied Mrs. Arable. "Some pigs were born last night." "I don't see why he needs an axe," continued Fern, who was only 8. "Well," said her mother, "one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything. So your father has decided to do away with it." "Do away with it?" shrieked Fern. "You mean kill it, just because it's smaller than the others?" Mrs. Arable put a pitcher of cream on the table. "Don't yell, Fern," she said. "Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway." Fern pushed a chair out of the way and ran outdoors. The grass was wet and the earth smelled of springtime. Fern's sneakers were sopping by the time she caught up with her father. "Please don't kill it," she sobbed. "It's unfair." Mr. Arable stopped working. "Fern," he said gently, "you will have to learn to control yourself." "Control myself?" yelled Fern. "This is a matter of life and death, and you talk about controlling myself?" Tears ran down her cheeks, and she took hold of the axe and tried to pull it out of her father's hand. "Fern," said Mr. Arable, "I know more about raising a litter of pigs than you do. A weakling makes trouble. Now run along." Okay, I'm going to stop us there. Let's look back here at our rubric. So, and as I said in the suggestions, you would not want to make your final decisions just based on that little snippet, but I'm just trying to walk through for you all the kinds of things that we're looking for. So, just on that little snippet from Charlotte's Web at the very beginning, we're already seeing some higher order thinking skills because we are having some layers of meaning when the mother says that the father's going to do away with it. The child has to infer what the mother means by that. So that's already making this a complex text for younger grades, 2nd or 3rd. The text includes high quality writing and dialogue. So these are some notes that you could take. There are certainly clear purposes for teaching, literary devices, truth, beauty, and goodness. There's examples of family life and how they interact with one another. So, and of course we know that Charlotte's Web is going to present for us some timeless and inspiring themes. So those are just some examples of notes that I might write while reading just that beginning part of Charlotte's Web. So please let me know if you all have any questions. I know I went through this quickly, but I'm hopeful that it can be a good tool for us in evaluating literature. So thank you so much.